You're listening to Haunted Tales with Skoto the Reaper. Crying Skies by HymnofShadows. Chapter 6. Something wicked this way has come. As we traveled, no one really said a word. I scanned the lake for signs of life but didn't see anyone. My mind began to race, and I came up with an idea to lighten the mood, as there was an aura of dread that hung over everyone now since the plane crash. Because Olivia was sitting in the chair behind us that was normally used for fishing, we hadn't been going fast in the first place, so I felt safe to crawl in front of Jerry, onto the front of the boat. "What are you doing?" he asked, shooting me a confused glare. I shot him a smile before sticking my hand in the water, causing water to shoot up onto him. Some of it went behind him and hit Olivia too, causing her to put her hands up. "Waterbending!" I shouted. He immediately stopped the boat, standing up. "What the hell, Chris?" Olivia said from behind him, looking down at her shirt. A shirt that was an oversized fraternity shirt, one I knew had to have been from Sal. She had worn it most days, but I imagined she didn't pack much anyway. She hadn't gotten anywhere near as wet as Jerry, whose face and side were almost soaked. I chuckled a little at the sight of it. "I don't know if you're drunk or not, but please act mature," Olivia grumbled. "But how will I defeat the Fire Lord if I don't master this?" "I don't even know what you're talking about. Just get back in your seat so we can keep going." I slumped back in my seat, and he pushed down on the throttle again. Rob would have found the joke funny, unlike these two, with sticks up their asses all the time, I thought to myself as I looked off. Once we got to the marina, Jerry slowed down as we approached the docks. "I still think we should have armed ourselves with more than a pistol," I said as I jumped off to tie the boat up when he arrived. "We don't want to scare her," Jerry replied as he turned the engine off. Once we tied up, we all walked to the marina. Jerry was the only one armed, so he took the lead. The lights were all off at the marina, and there were no other boats. When we got to the door, he knocked a few times and waited for an answer. 30 seconds went by, and he knocked a few more times. "I don't think she's home, bro. Is it unlocked?" I asked, not wanting to waste any time. He turned the doorknob and slowly pushed the door open, with his other hand on his holstered pistol. "Mrs. Kimberly?" he called out. There was no reply. All three of us stepped into the marina. I looked around, expecting the place to look torn up and looted. And while the shelves were emptier than before, it didn't look like the place had been torn through. I spotted the candy aisle and realized how long it had been since I had actually eaten something sugary. We didn't even eat breakfast at the cabin, and while we had a glass bowl of sugar, it was reserved for making coffee. Of course, the coffee machine didn't work without power, but we found a way to improvise. There'd been a bottle of instant coffee up in the pantry, and all you needed for that was heated water, which we could do with the stove, or even the grill if we had to. I, however, was one of those people who liked to fill my coffee with lots of creamer, which we did not have. And I found the taste of black coffee horrendous, even with sugar in it. This was something Rob had often been making fun of me for since we'd been here, as he drank it black. Jerry usually opted for the black coffee with sugar, and Olivia didn't drink it at all. I had asked Jerry the next time he went up to the Hills cabin to ask for a little bit of creamer, as I was used to drinking coffee every day back in our normal lives. Of course, I could always just spoon the sugar into my mouth directly, but I wasn't that desperate yet. "Jackpot," I mumbled, and made my way over to the candy, grabbing chocolate bars and opening one immediately. "Seriously, Chris?" Jerry said as he gave me a look of disappointment. "Oh, yeah, sorry. Do you guys want any?" I asked as I stuffed my mouth with a Twix bar, immediately feeling satisfaction from the sweet flavors. Oh, God. It's been so long since I've had real good food. "You're literally robbing her store, Chris." Jerry raised his voice a little. "I hate to break it to you, but Rob and I already sort of did that. I mean, she gave it to us for free, which was basically stealing anyway if you think about it. That isn't the same. Well, we did go take some liquor from the bar next door without her permission." The crumbs fell out of my mouth as I talked. "The woman we're here for doesn't live in this marina, does she?" Olivia asked loudly, obviously wanting to move on from Jerry and I's dispute over candy bars. "She lives in a house behind here. She's got to be there if not here," I said, stuffing more of the candy bars into my pockets. I knew Rob would want some. Jerry rolled his eyes and he walked by me, to the back of the store, and to the other door. I offered one of the candy bars to Olivia, who took it reluctantly. "Just one. I do miss sweets too," she said. "I can't believe y'all," Jerry spoke under his breath. He pushed open the door and we all walked out. The other side of the marina contained the parking lot for the bar, which was empty aside from 2 cars. I eyed the 2 cars closely as we walked through, examining for any sign of someone breaking into them, but they looked fine. On the other side of the parking lot was the road, and behind that a small hill that led up to 2 houses. One was Mrs. Kimberly's, and the other was the owner of the restaurant and bar, who I had no clue was. We made our way across the road into Mrs. Kimberly's house, a small great white one-story that almost looked like a house on a ranch on a lake. I noticed her car was still parked in the driveway, an old white Ford Explorer. Jerry again took the lead. He approached the door handle and twisted it, but this time it didn't budge, so he turned to ringing the doorbell and knocking. After a while, no one answered. "Mrs. Kimberly!" he yelled and knocked louder. "Mrs. Kimberly, it's Jerry Murphy, Ben Murphy's son." He knocked more and more violently. I don't think she's home," I mumbled, finishing up my candy bar and dropping the wrapper. "Of course you'd be the one to litter," Olivia said to me, scowling. "Ugh," I replied, picking it up and stuffing the wrapper into my pocket. "Not that I care what you think, I just don't want to ruin the lake." Some part of me deep down still wanted her approval, wanted her to like me. "She's not home. Why is her car here?" Jerry asked aloud, ringing the doorbell again. "Maybe she's with a friend? Isn't she popular on this lake?" Olivia theorized. "Maybe she's gotten so she's finally gone deaf," I muttered under my breath. "She could be seriously hurt in there. Might have to break down the door." Jerry stepped back, appearing like he was getting ready to attempt to kick it. "You didn't want to scare her, and now you're going to kick her door down?" I questioned him, crossing my arms. "And wouldn't this be counted as breaking and entering, Mr. Law-abiding citizen? All her lights are off in her house in the middle of the day. Don't you think that's suspicious?" Jerry turned to look at me. "She could be sleeping, you know. Isn't that what old people do in their free time anyway?" "Hey, doofuses," I heard Olivia chirp from behind us. We both turned around to see her holding a silver key out to us. "You two didn't, think to search for a spare first? It was just under this flower pot." "I was actually just about to say that," I responded as Jerry grabbed the key from her, without saying a word. I could tell he was embarrassed. After unlocking the door, he opened it slowly. "Mrs. Kimberly? Are you here?" he called out. We all 3 stepped into what looked like a living room. I noticed a kitchen on the right side and a hallway on the left, which I presumed led to the bedrooms. The lights were all off, but nothing seemed out of place. "Doesn't look like someone has looted the place or broken in, except for us," I said. "Mrs. Kimberly, it's Bob Murphy's son. We're just here to check on you," Jerry called out, louder this time. "Well, she's obviously not out here. Let's go check the bedrooms," I suggested. We made our way through the hallway, which featured 2 shut doors and 1 open one that revealed an outdated bathroom. The wallpaper in it was hideous, bright yellow. When we approached the first door, Jerry knocked. After a few seconds of no reply, he pushed it open to reveal a small bedroom with the queen-size bed, which was still neatly made. With the rays of light seeping through the closed blinds, I could see the dust floating through the air. And dust had covered the top of the furniture in the room, making it look like an untouched museum set. I figured this had to be a guest bedroom of some sort. The next door we opened led to a slightly larger bedroom, and matching wallpaper to the bathroom. Almost right away I could tell this had to have been the master bedroom, as it was way more decorated. One wall contained a bookshelf filled with books, and the other a dresser. On the wall across from the bed hung a painting of what I guessed to be the Virgin Mary. The bookshelf also contained a number of framed pictures. "Guess she's not home," I said. "This isn't good. She could be a danger," Jerry replied. "Or she could just be with someone else, like I said. Looks like she had some family members," Olivia said as she walked over and picked one of the framed portraits up. In it was Mrs. Kimberly, and a woman who looked like a younger and skinnier version of her. I thought back to when we had talked to her, and remembered her mentioning her daughter when Rob and I had come to the marina at the beginning of all this. I don't think she was married, but I vaguely recall her mentioning she had a daughter once. Jerry made a twisted face of confusion as he looked up. The look faded as he eyed the picture. She probably wanted to be with her daughter if society truly is breaking down. Olivia looked back at us. When Rob and I visited her for the first time, the time we met Rick, she mentioned the daughter. Said that she lived in Atlanta, but also said she was too old to take the trip. But that doesn't rule out that her daughter came and got her. Of course, she also thought that her daughter had been taken in the rapture, since that's what she thinks is going on. I said, eyeing the painting. I noticed a cross hanging by her bed too. She probably had been truly religious. Jerry seemed uneasy when I mentioned the rapture, and so did Olivia. Well, I for sure would rather be with my family than here, she said. Where are you from again? I asked her. Atlanta, but obviously I know how dangerous trying to go back there is. Do they know you were here with Sal? Yes, but I don't even know if they know where this lake is. It's kind of the middle of nowhere. You got that part right. We should check the surrounding area, see if she's hurt or something, Jerry said as he stormed out of the room. We followed him through the house and back outside, with Olivia shutting the door behind us. He gazed off into the endless abundance of trees behind her house. You actually gonna search these woods, man? I questioned him. It's the right thing to do. I got a news flash for you. If she actually was taken from the house forcefully, she's probably not alive. I doubt she's just chilling in the nearby woods, and if she was, and was hurt, she'd probably be screaming for help. But if she isn't even in earshot, she could be anywhere. You know how dense the forest is around the lake? We'd probably never find her. Jerry glanced at me, then looked down as if contemplating what to say. He's right, Jerry. And it didn't look like she was in any danger from her house anyway. Let's just get back to the cabin, Olivia added. I was honestly surprised she'd taken my side in this. Jerry sighed deeply before replying. All right. As we began to walk back to the marina, I noticed something spread across the back wall of it, something I had missed when we came out. I had never seen anything like it before. It honestly looked like an almost grayish, translucent slime. What is that? I questioned loudly, pointing at it. I don't know. Was that there before? Olivia asked with a bewildered look on her face. It looks like some sort of slime. We all began to walk towards it, keen on investigating. As we got closer, I noticed it came with a putrid smell, one that was completely unrecognizable to me. I scanned the building for some sort of source, and only noticed it went up to the ceiling and had stopped, like someone had taken a bucket of it and dumped it on the building. I've never seen anything like this, I uttered. It smells horrible, Olivia said right after me. Came from? I have no clue. The storm? Maybe something got damaged from it and burst on the building, Jerry theorized, moving closer to it. I don't think it's new, unless we were looking backward. We easily could have missed it coming outside the marina, I said, walking around the corner to see if it was on the other wall. There was a little bit of slime, but not as much. I noticed something that wasn't on the backside, however, something a little disturbing. Trapped in the slime against the wall was a decomposed squirrel, one that was mostly bone. Seeing it instantly reminded me of a fly trapped in a spider's web. I looked back around the corner to see Jerry reaching out to touch the slime with his right hand. Jerry, wait! It was too late. His hand was already in the slime. God, sticky as shit! He yelled out, trying to yank his hand back. It didn't budge. God damn it! I put my face in the palms of my hands. He looked at me as if to disapprove of me using the Lord's name in vain. Could y'all help me? He asked. I walked over and grabbed his forearm, and Olivia just watched. Let's pull, I said. We both pulled back at the same time. I felt my face scrunch as we pulled, and his arm did come back a little, revealing the substance that was now stuck to him like glue, and wouldn't tear. Keep pulling, Jerry uttered through gritted teeth. But once we'd gotten the hand a few centimeters off, it stopped going any further. A little help? I looked back at Olivia. She came up and grabbed Jerry from behind before pulling herself. The hand moved further apart, and I noticed some of the slime begin to tear. It's tearing! I shouted. But as we continued to pull, it didn't tear or move any further, and after a few seconds, we gave up. What were you thinking? Touching some random ooze that you had no clue what it was? I scolded Jerry with a narrow gaze, talking through panting breaths. I thought you were supposed to be the smart one, Olivia added, which I took as a jab at me. I gave her a quick glance but didn't say anything. I hardly thought it was an appropriate time for her to bring out her dislike of me. I wasn't. I'm sorry, guys. Cherry's voice quaked a little. I could tell he felt bad and decided not to scold him further. I wasn't his dad, after all. If only we had Rob here. I bet he'd be strong enough to pull your hand off, I said. Here, dislocate my wrist, Cherry said, letting out a single, faked chuckle. I could tell he was trying to lighten the mood with a joke. A memory suddenly popped into my head. Hey, do you by chance remember that time all the way back in elementary school, when I got my finger stuck in this little middle ring thing in the cafeteria? I asked. No, Cherry uttered, still pulling his arm back fruitlessly. Yeah, I don't know why I expected you to. But anyway, the teachers used a sort of lube to get it out. I think like vegetable oil, maybe? I'm sure there's stuff like this in either Mrs. Kimberly's house or the restaurant over there. To lube it up? I suggested the idea. If Rob was with us, I was certain he would have made a sex joke. This isn't a metal ring, dude, Jerry replied. It could still work. Here, I'll go look in her kitchen. Why don't you check the marina? I said, and looked at Olivia. All right, she mumbled. We both walked off. Now my buzz is totally going to be killed by the time we get you free, I complained as we walked off. On the way up to the house, I thought about the slime and what it could be, and a new idea popped into my head. I thought back to the C-130 breaking apart in the sky, and how surely stuff would have flown out, stuff other than the soldiers. This slime could have been something from the plane, but what? Fuel? Something experimental the military had? Something they wanted us to discover? A new weapon? These thoughts all raced through my head as I retrieved the spare key, unlocked the door, and made my way to the kitchen. I hope she doesn't come back now, or I'll really look like a looter, I thought as I began hurriedly looking through the cabinets and drawers. The kitchen looked more modern than the rest of the house, and probably received the most furnishing and care. As I looked through the kitchen, a little hope began to ignite in me, a hope I might find some alcohol, or maybe some pills, I could get high off of. Something like opioids. What am I thinking? I'm not some addict. I quickly shuffled my mind back to Cherry's stuck hand, repressing the thoughts. But deep down, they were still there. Once I came to the cabinet that hung over the oven, I found a bottle of vegetable oil. This'll probably do. But after I shut the cabinet door and turned around, I noticed something that gave me a new idea. Sitting next to the sink was the knife holder, something I had briefly passed by when I first came. The realization hit me that we could just cut the slime, and I began to feel like an idiot for not thinking about that in the first place. I walked and grabbed a large butcher knife. I didn't know much about kitchen knives, but this one looked like it would be the most effective for me. With both my new tools in hand, I had confidence we could free him. I walked out of the cabin, kicking the door behind me to shut it. As I walked over to Jerry, who had given up pulling on his arm, I noticed Olivia walking with a lighter. I assumed she must have gotten it from the marina. This knife should do the trick. I can't wait to see Rob's reaction when he hears what you did, I smirked at Cherry, giving him a little push to the shoulder. He frowned in response. Olivia began flicking the lighter on and off, like she was waiting for her chance to try. A lighter? Seriously? You planning on cutting his hand off and cauterizing the wound? I said with a hint of snark in my voice. Olivia looked almost mad at me. Okay, first of all, we don't even know what it is, so maybe he could help. Maybe the heat from the fire could dry the slime and make it easier to tear. Did you think of that? And second of all, this was all I could find. There wasn't any cooking oil or anything in the lake marina, much to my surprise. Please don't argue, guys, Cherry whimpered to us. I brought the knife over to his hand and began to slice down on the slime, and I got about 75% through it. Then the knife got stuck itself. You gotta be kidding me, I mumbled. Jerry pulled back again, but it didn't budge. I walked over, picked up the oil, and squirted it all over the slime, his hand and the knife. After that, I pressed down hard on the knife, but whatever material that was keeping him attached was also strong enough to prevent a knife from going all the way through it. I looked back over to Olivia. Guess you might as well try the lighter now, which is probably not going to work. She sighed, turned on the lighter, and held it to the slime around the knife and under it. She did it for a few seconds, but the only effect it was having on the slime was oddly making it lighter in color. I pressed down again with the knife, and this time it went clean through. Jerry quickly yanked his arm back, stepping away from the wall. Some of the slime was still on his hand, however. "You were saying?" Olivia stared me down. "That's so weird that heat made it looser," I simply replied, dropping the now covered in slime knife. Jerry reached over to the slime on his hand with his other hand as if to try to pick it off, but stopped himself. "The lighter," he said, and snatched it from Olivia's hand. He then tried to hold the flame close to his own, and while it made it turn lighter in color, it remained on his hand. "Look, maybe you're just going to have to wait until that hand dries," I suggested. "Great, so now we're going to be down 2 people," Jerry replied. "Obviously Mrs. Kimberly isn't here. Let's just get back to the cabin. I can drive, so just remember not to touch anything." Jerry reached into his pocket with his good hand and pulled out the keys before handing me them. Then we headed over to the bass boat, untied it, and pulled away from the dock. "I got a theory for what that shit is," I said as I turned the boat around to face back to the cabin. "What's that?" Jerry asked. "The plane crash. Maybe something fell out of it and landed on the cabin. Some experimental fluid or fuel or some shit like that." "One issue with that," Olivia added. "What?" I asked. "If something fell out of the plane like that and crashed on the building, wouldn't we see whatever container or box it was in?" "Good point," I replied and gunned the engine, making the possibility of conversation near non-existent over the roar of the wind. Jerry had rested his arm on the side of the boat, letting his covered hand lie out of it. We were mostly quiet on the way back, and I was thinking about the slime and what had happened to Mrs. Kimberly. Her talk of the rapture and demons taking people in the night. As we came back by Eagle Rock and Goat Island, Jerry signaled for me to stop the boat. I came to a stop and turned to him, ready to hear what he had to say. "We need to make it stop at Mr. Hill's house." "Why?" "We need to get another supply of meat." "Ugh. Oh, don't complain, Chris. They aren't that bad." I gunned the boat again and drove in that direction until I saw their large house. I couldn't deny that a part of me was jealous that they were getting to stay in that while we were stuck in the small cabin. Of course, we could have gone to stay with them, but then I would have had to put up with the brothers. As we neared the building, I noticed Mr. Hill walking down at the dock with the paper bag already in hand. "Hopefully it's just the dad and the quiet brother," Olivia said. As we reached it, I slowed the boat down. "I assume the meat is in that bag, so we don't need to tie off, right?" I asked Jerry. He nodded, and I pulled the boat up to the side of the dock. "Hey, Olivia, can you grab the dock and hold us in place?" I asked. She jumped up and grabbed the dock. Mr. Hill approached the boat as I shut the engine off.
"Jerry, good to see you again. And you two also. It's been a little bit. Chris and Olivia, right?"
"That's right," I replied. Mr. Hill set the meat down on the front of the boat, and then eyed Jerry's slimed hand.
"What happened to your hand?"
"We had gone back to the marina. There was some slime all over it. In a stupid moment, I got curious and touched it, and my hand got stuck. Now I can't get the remainder off," Jerry explained to him.
"Let me take a look,"
Mr. Hill asked, and bent down to examine it. Jerry moved his hand up closer, but not too close. The idea of a prank briefly passed through me. The prank of pushing Jerry's hand into his face. But like most intrusive thoughts I had, I dismissed it.
"Never seen anything like that."
"Yeah, and the strange part is that a lighter was what we had to use to get it unstuck. Something to do with heat, maybe?" Mr. Hill's eyes squinted as he continued to look at it. Olivia looked uncomfortable having to hold the dock, so I decided to join her and grab it too, even if it wasn't really floating away. I had already gotten back at her, and didn't want to be more of an asshole.
"Well, I don't think we have anything to help with that. I'd wait for it to dry,"
Mr. Hill said, and backed off. I scanned the cabin behind him, expecting to see Rick or Andrew, but they weren't there. "Where are Rick and Andrew?" I asked.
"They're off hunting right now,"
Mr. Hill replied. "I'm surprised you'll have to stick around still. You seem so gung-ho about running off to fight for our country against whatever enemy's causing this." Mr. Hill looked away from us and back to the cabin before replying solemnly.
"You're right. I was at first. But after that shootout at the plane crash, and seeing your friend get shot, I've been rethinking that idea. And my 2 sons are all I have, and I'd never want nothing bad to happen to them. I ain't thinking they're ready for that either. Andrew looked so frightened after what happened, and he still does. And I'm worried about Rick. I I've never seen him act like this before. It was like he enjoyed the shootout. And now he won't stop talking about going to shoot some bad guys.
I was surprised listening to him speak.
Have you talked to him about your worries?
Jerry asked him with a concerned look on his face.
I've tried, but he just lashes out at me.
Maybe next time I'm around him I could bring it up.
That'd be very nice of you. He's always had fits of anger. More than you'd expect from an angry teenager.
I have an idea that could help him. Maybe help all of us. You familiar with Maple Hill Church?
The one on the lake, right? We've never been, as we go to an old Baptist church a county over, but I know what you're talking about.
I had seen Maple Hill Church almost every trip we had taken on the lake so far. It was located around Eagle Rock, on top of one of the other steep hills that overlooked the water. I had noticed the wall facing the water had been ripped off, but I didn't really give it much thought, as I figured it had happened from the storm. Due to the fact that it was overlooking a sort of cliff, it was impossible to get to it by boat. Instead, you had to take a car up a winding road up the hill, which of course, lined with maple trees that hung over the road. I had only been there a few times as a kid, back with Jerry's family. During high school, Jerry would still go there sometimes with his dad, but Rob and I would opt out. This led to some pretty heavy arguments between Rob and his dad. Well, it's being unused right now. I was thinking maybe we could start a Bible study of some sort up there. It could take our mind off what's happening, and it has such a pretty view of the lake. You're a Christian, right, Olivia? Jerry asked her. Yeah, Olivia responded, almost seeming uncomfortable. Wait a second. Was this the real reason he wanted Mrs. Kimberly? For his little cult come up? I opened my mouth about to say something, but decided to wait a little bit. Mr. Hill seemed to smile a little bit at Jerry's proposition.
I like that idea. I'll definitely throw it out to my sons.
Well, we better get going to get that hand looked at, I interrupted loudly, not wanting them to go off on a never-ending conversation about their religion.
All right. Y'all take care now,
Mr. Hill said, and backed away from the boat. Goodbye. See ya. Olivia pushed off and gave a slight wave. I gunned the engine, and we headed off back to the cabin. But about a minute into the return, I pulled back on the throttle hard. Ah, fuck, I cursed. What? Jerry asked me. I forgot to ask about the coffee creamer. Never met a straight man so concerned about coffee creamer as you. Olivia shook her head. I sighed and pushed down on the throttle. As we neared the house, I began to slow down and heard her speak up. Hey, so I was wondering, since your hand might be all messed up from the slime, Jerry, and Rob's is already injured, that means that we'll be down a person for hunting, right? Yeah, I said and looked back at her. So, I was wondering if maybe I could use y'all's guns and start hunting too? I told y'all that Sal and I did it a little by ourselves. Did you ever actually kill a deer yet? No, but I know all about the blooding ritual and everything. I want to try it and be more useful. I'm tired of sulking around. Jerry and I both looked at each other. They're not my guns, I said. I think that could be an excellent opportunity for you, maybe a way to get a cool experience out of all this. So you have my permission, Jerry said to her. Yes! Olivia almost grinned a little, and this was the first time I had seen her even remotely close to happy the whole time. My sisters had felt the same eagerness about wanting to shoot a deer, but only one of them got around to it, Marissa. Back when we were both in high school, one of them had dated this guy in my grade, who I didn't like at all. He had a large amount of property, but only ever took her hunting and not me or my youngest sister, Julia. Of course, I complained and pleaded with Marissa to take me, but she wouldn't dare go against him. Which was a shame, because he ended up in jail for drug distribution, and I lost the chance to ever go hunting on it. But my sisters never picked the right guys anyway. When she had gotten around to killing her first deer, it had been just a simple doe with the .270. And despite her excitement for it, she cried and cried her eyes out. Never went hunting again. And I had heard other stories about other girls crying over it too. I could understand it too. Killing a deer could be sad. We had so much power over it as a species. This was never a conversation I was bold enough to bring up with Rob or any of my other friends, but I wondered if they ever felt the same way. And that, like me, they were just hiding it. Of course, I took into consideration the benefits, such as the meat and the fact that the deer themselves were overpopulating the south. As I looked at Olivia, a part of me wanted to warn her that she might only get more sadness out of shooting a deer, but that maybe the deer's death would remind her of Sal's disappearance in a way. But another part of me wanted to let that happen, as payback for how I felt she had treated me unfairly. But warning her might make her like me better, I thought. Hey, Olivia, maybe you wouldn't like shooting a deer. I mean, it can be pretty sad sometimes. I spoke softly to her. I'll be fine, she replied. I stopped right there, not wanting this to turn into an argument. Oh no, Jerry mumbled as he stared off towards the ever-closing dock. I looked at him with a confused face. My brother Rob, I don't know if he'll approve of it. He's kind of weird about letting people borrow our guns. But aren't some of the guns yours? Olivia asked him. Well, I mean, technically they're my dad's guns. Rob and I never bought any of them ourselves. We just kind of used the ones we each liked the most. And my dad's kind of weird about letting people he doesn't know use the guns too. People like Chris are part of the exception because my dad's known him his whole life. I would let you use my rifle, but I don't even have it up here with me, I followed up. As we neared the dock, I noticed several birds sitting up on top of it. I didn't know what was going on with them, but it was like they were scared of trees now. It was honestly unsettling. I saw Rob watching us from inside the cabin, and an idea popped into my head. You know, all this stuff has been kind of depressing. I got an idea to lighten the mood, something that might put Rob in a better mood, and be revenge for his firecracker prank, I said to Jerry. What's that? As we docked the boat and tied off, I explained my little prank to Jerry. Olivia thought it was gross and opted out of it to hang out at the dock, but Jerry reluctantly agreed. I then headed up to the cabin, and Jerry followed slowly behind. Back with no Mrs. Kimberly? Tell me you at least got some liquor from that bar, Rob said to me as I slipped the glass door open. Bear was sitting curled up on the floor next to him. Hurry! We need a towel or something. It's Jerry! I began spewing frantically. The hell? He barked. My arm, help! Jerry called out from behind me, stepping into the doorway behind me. Rob's eyes darted up to the slimed hand. The hell is that shit? He asked loudly. When we were out on the marina, we found this random horse just wandering around. Jerry, being the animal lover he is, tried to go comfort it. He was then brutally sexually assaulted by the said horse, and now it's nutted all over his hand, I explained, holding back a giggle. Jerry reached out his hand to Rob, who stumbled backwards and picked up a frying pan. If you fucking touch me with that shit, I will knock you in the head with this! I can't get it off, help me! Jerry continued to step toward him. Dude, I'm warning you! Rob's eyes widened and he stepped back again. Jerry couldn't hold it anymore and burst out in a chuckle. Why don't you just go clean that shit off outside? Rob continued to angrily yell, still holding up the pan. Relax, brother, it's not actually horse nut, Jerry tried to explain. I couldn't help but giggle a little bit myself. Well, whatever it is, wipe it off! I don't want that shit in the cabin. Rob slammed the frying pan down. Bear whined and ran outside. Look, Rob, this is actually serious. Whatever it is, it's stuck on his hand, I interjected. What? We didn't find Mrs. Kimberly at the marina, but there was some sort of slime all over it. I accidentally? I eyed Jerry sharply. Okay, I was curious what it was and touched it in a lapse of judgment. Whatever material it was nearly impossible to get my hand off the cabin, and now I don't know how to get the rest of it off my hand. Well, how'd you get it off the first time? Rob asked. We used fire and a knife, but the fire stopped working when I tried to get the rest off. Is it dried? No, still wettish, I think, if you can describe it like that. Well, maybe we should wait for it to dry and peel it off like glue. Do you even know what it is? No, never seen anything like it, have you? Rob stepped closer to his brother and examined the hand closely. No, I don't even know how you got me. This looks nothing like horse nut. How do you know what that would look like? I made an exaggerated squinting face at him. I mean, it would look like regular nut, right? Rob made a confused face. Can we please change the topic from that? Jerry said with a flat voice. Like I said, I just let it dry. Whoa. We don't know what this is. I had a theory that it was either a chemical from the marina or something that had fallen out of the plane and landed on top of the building. Either way, it could be dangerous to him if we just left it on. What if it starts to slowly eat his skin or cover the rest of his body, leaving him to suffocate? I spoke up. Jerry quickly pulled his hand back and grabbed his arm, wearing a scared look. Can we not talk about that either? He's right. It can be dangerous. I think the only solution is to cut your hand off, Rob said, and reached for a large butcher's knife, which was sitting on the edge of the sink. He then stepped towards his brother with it. Jerry's face remained unfazed. If you want to get me back with your own prank, you're going to have to try harder than that, he said smugly. Do you feel any different? I asked him. No, it doesn't hurt or anything. It just feels like glue, honestly, he replied. Then maybe letting it dry is the best option. I guess I don't really have another choice. This means that both of us are out of commission for hunting for the time being, since we can't hold a rifle anymore. Hey, my arm's getting better. I should be out of this sling in a short time. Rob tried to move his arm a little bit, and I watched him wince in pain. Don't hurt yourself, Rob. Pushing it could make the injury worse. That's why I wanted to throw out the idea of letting Olivia start hunting and using our rifles. Absolutely not! Rob raised his voice. I knew he would object to it. Rob, come on. Is it 'cause she's a girl? Jerry questioned. No, it's 'cause she's a bitch and I don't like her. You already know that, too. I don't want her touching our guns. She'd probably break them. I looked back outside to make sure Olivia wasn't listening and saw her down on the dock still, drawing something in a sketchbook. Come on, don't let your anger blind you. We need all the help we can get, Jerry pleaded. Rob turned to me as if he wanted me to back him up, but in this matter, I was on his brother's side. He's right, Rob, and I mean, come on. We let her keep watch the other night, and she came with us to investigate the plane crash. She knows how to use the guns. I don't care. We don't need food anyway, right? We got a steady supply coming from the hills, and are catching fish pretty much every day. We only need Chris hunting right now. Asshole, I muttered. Rob flashed me a look of anger. You're lucky I'm still in this sling. Yeah, alright, I said and walked off. Jerry tried pleading a little bit longer, but it went nowhere. Theoretically, Rob had no more control over who got the guns than Jerry did. He'd be almost way more stubborn about it. And I was almost certain that Jerry could be scared of his brother sometimes, so he didn't want to push it. And neither did I. I didn't want to be the one to break the news to Olivia, so Jerry did it himself. Of course, we waited a little bit, but Olivia was not happy when she heard it, and stormed over to Rob to confront him, who was napping on the couch. What the hell, Rob? She asked loudly, waking him up. I had been in the living room also, trying to read a Tom Clancy book that was at the cabin, The Hunt for Red October. What do you want? He asked groggily. Why won't you let me use the rifles? I know how to shoot them, she wailed. They're my guns, and I don't want you touching them. Maybe you have been nicer to us in the past, I would. Okay, first of all, they're not your guns, they're your dad's. And second of all, I was only ever mean because you were mean to me first. That's a load of bullshit. Sal told us all about how you didn't like us from the start, how his friend group had been a red flag for you. You're seriously going to let your social grudge get in the way of helping us survive a possible Armageddon? Oh, come on. We don't know that's what's happening, and we don't need you hunting either. We got a steady supply of food coming in. Now screw off, and let me go back to sleep. I don't get why you're such a dick. Jerry overheard the yelling from outside and came in. Guys, please let's not fight. The last thing we need is a divide in our group like this, he begged. Look, I don't want to be around this either, but she has some good points, I followed up. Olivia shot Rob a look of anger and stormed out of the cabin. I can't believe you two are taking her side for this. Rob glared at us and laid back down on the couch. Jerry and I shot each other uneasy looks, and we left the cabin.